the meeting to order. This is, wow,
That's some delicate stuff.
very effective microphone here. It's the
Did it-
regular
did it
meeting
damage
of
anything or
the
what? Did it
Pittsburgh
damage anything?
Water, October 24th, 2025. The board did meet in executive session. No taken. We did get some updates. And we'll start with a roll call. Danny?
Mr. Schuley,
Here.
Ms. Strasburger,
Here.
Ms. Leber,
Here.
Mr. Domock,
Here.
Ms. McCormick Barron, Mr. Bay,
Here.
Ms. Leach, Mr. Fishbach.
Here. Do we have any speakers for public comment? Okay. We'll start with the approval of the meeting minutes of September 26, 2025. May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the meeting minutes of September 26, 2025, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Any abstentions?
Yes.
One abstention. Okay, thank you. We'll move to confirmation of CEO approvals. All CEO approvals from the prior month are confirmed. And I think at this point, I would like to mention that we have two new board members today. It's an exciting day after a long and laborious process of making it through the trials and tribulations of being blind. We are so happy to have Dr. Megan Leach and Dr. Jordan Fishbach here joining our board. I'm really excited to have you both on. I told Will we're going to have to up our game here a little bit. You guys are sure of working with Jordan on some stormwater issues with Alcosan when he was with the Rand Corporation, and enjoyed my time and served on some committees to try to help. And so I'm really happy for both of them. I know you're going to make tremendous contributions to this board and to the ratepayers for a long time to come. So thank you for being here. All right, we'll move to reports and updates, and we'll start with the finance department. Mr. Barca.
Morning, Megan, Jordan, welcome. I'm used to a full room here. So.
I know. It's nice.
Happy Friday, everyone. I'll kick it off here with the finance report. So included in your board packet for this month, you'll see the finance report as of September 30th, 2025. Within the report, you will see total receipts through the end of September totaled $179 million, which equates to 74.7% of the budget for the year. In September specifically, Pittsburgh Water collected $23.2 million, which is about $1.2 million higher than the budget for the month. So we performed well overall in September. And with that, year-end receipts, which takes in actuals for the year and then projections to the end of the year, are projected to be $245.8 million. That represents a $6.1 million increase, or 2.6% increase over the budget for the year. The biggest contributors of that overage is some higher interest income than we anticipated through our investments of cash, and also our wastewater receipts are performing a little bit higher than we had anticipated, which is a good thing. Departmental operating expenditures through September 30th, 2025 totaled $93.7 million. That represents about 72% of the budget for the year. And capital expenditures through that same period totaled $125.1 million. With year-end capital expenditures projected to be $235 million. Next, we'll go to debt service. $84.5 million in debt service costs have been paid through the end of September. That's approximately 95.1% of the budget for the year. And forecasted year-end debt service is projected to be $88.7 million, which equates to roughly $4.9 million lower than the adopted budget. And just to give some context there, the reason that's lower is because we projected a full year of new debt service to be added to our expenditures this year. While we issued an additional bond, only half of that debt service was paid, just given the timing of the issuance. So that resulted in some savings as compared to the budget for the year. With that, this concludes my report for today. I'll turn it back over for any questions. Thank you.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Barca? Thank you. Go ahead, Mike.
say publicly to you, Jen, and the others that worked on the PUC thing. Good work. Looks like a good Goldilocks kind of settlement here, particularly the part where cash flow for debt service is improved.
Thank you. Yeah, it's Mike's alluding to the recent settlement with the parties for our rate case. That is pending final approval from the administrative law judge at the PUC, but at this point, we do anticipate that going through, and at that point, we'll release some specifics on that settlement. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
Next, we have the engineering department and Rachel.
Good morning again, Chair Sholey, members of the board. Do have some slides. We have some new technology. Slides. This morning, I'm pleased to begin the report by highlighting an exciting project that is underway. It's our sedimentation rehabilitation project. And these are 28, anyone who traverses. Sorry. So we got some nice drone photos that were taken somewhat recently, showing these basins, probably pretty familiar to most. So you can see down in there is our treatment plant, and these basins are about a quarter-mile north of that, across a small area. So just some background on these basins. They were constructed originally in 1904 to provide sedimentation for the raw water prior to slow sand filtration. There are 3 basins. There's one basin, east and west settling basins, 54 million gallons each for a total of 123 million gallons. And in 1960, they became secondary settling basins. So they operate between our clarifiers and our filters. So the water comes through the clarifiers and then heads over to these basins and then comes back to the main plant area to be filtered. So just a main point of knowledge for anyone who is concerned from the public that these open basins are not finished water. They are in the middle of our treatment process and the only open system in our treatment process. They were last rehabilitated in the early 90s and cleaned out at that time and isolated one by one for cleaning and maintenance. So it's been a bit. It's been a minute since work was done. So some more drone photos that we just took recently showing east and west, the center receiving basin. We do also have an administration building that is not being used, but is located there and will be evaluated for historical significance as part of the project. So this project is divided into 2 phases. Of course, we will meet all current regulatory requirements and bring that up to speed and then provide operational flexibility, resiliency, and redundancy. So under phase 1, we'll be primarily cleaning out the basins. We did a bathymetric survey of the basins showing that there are approximately 2 to 3 feet of sediment in the bottom of them, roughly estimating 117,000 cubic yards of material. So quite a bit. So phase 1 will primarily focus on the removal of that sediment, as well as installing some upgrades. We're going to put a screening unit on the east basin outlet. Currently, the basin outlet is not screened, so that presents some interesting opportunities at the filters. And we'll be either replacing or rehabilitating some of the isolation valves in preparation for phase 2. So draining valves and sluice gates. And then under phase 2, which is further out in the future, the plan is to install a covered multi-cell basins in the footprint of the current west basin. So we will be eventually covering this process. And at that time, we also plan to install some piping installation for possible even additional upgrades further out in the future. So we might put in a future clarification facility in the footprint of the East Basin and potential future additional storage or treatment process in the remaining space and the footprint of the west basin. So this is a little bit easier seen with this graphic. So the dotted yellow line very loosely at this point represents potential footprint for the covered basins that will be installed under phase 2. And then you can see that eventually we will have some space available, as I mentioned, for possible future use of the footprint of the east basin or the remaining footprint of the west basin. So a little more detail on phase 1. Again, we'll be rehabbing or replacing existing sluice and drain gates to allow for positive isolation and bypass during the work. Again, we'll be installing a screening unit. And then we'll be doing phase cleaning of each basin. So center, then east, and then west. And we are doing a traffic impact analysis. Primarily for phase 1, there will be a major hauling operation, as you can imagine, with all that sediment. Even if it's dewatered, the estimated weight of a dewatered cake is 100,000 tons of material. So there's going to be some major hauling, even if we're able to dewater on site. So that lends to the traffic impact analysis. And related to that, we're looking at temporary site access road improvements. We do have an access road, but there's only currently one way in, one way out. So we are going to need some additional temporary access roads to facilitate the work. And then a little bit more information on phase 2. Again, we're looking at converting a portion of that west basin footprint to a multi-cell covered basin that will take up less space than the current facilities. We will have water quality monitoring for each of the multi-cells. We will also address power and electrical needs, taking into consideration possible future treatment options. Again, doing provisions, potentially installing some pipe so that we can potentially connect in the future for those upgrades. And then we will be looking at implementing sustainable design practices. We do have a design workshop, sustainability workshop, actually scheduled for next week to talk about some of that, which could include energy efficiency, solar panels, and other considerations. So this is an interesting and exciting project. Some of the opportunities, as Barry would say, shout out to Barry. We do have very limited space on site, as you probably noticed or have seen. And this is going to be a challenge not only for access, but also for the potential dewatering of that sediment, which would be helpful because that'll help us in the disposal. Again, as I mentioned, single point in ingress and egress. Our dewatering approach for what we remove will be to discharge as much as we can to the river through our stormwater outfall. And of course, that'll have to meet certain water quality standards. And then anything higher than NTU turbidity would go to the Alcosan sanitary sewer via Fox Chapel, and then haul away the remaining sediments, potentially in a dewatered state. We are coordinating heavily with, or will need to continue to coordinate with the surrounding property owners and look at potential easements for those temporary access roads that I mentioned, and also to try to find space for dewatering activities. And then just noting some of the stakeholders, of course, the DEP, as always, Alcosan, PennDOT with Route 28, and attempting to work with them and removing some of the stormwater discharges from Route 28. UPMC St. Margaret and Waterworks Mall, from whom we may need to obtain temporary easements. As far as the schedule for this project, that is the last slide. We're doing design, permitting, and procurement for phase 1 currently, and that will continue through late summer 2026. And construction of phase 1, that cleaning portion, is anticipated to start fall of 2026 through the end of 2027. And then phase 2, we are in design, permitting, design at this time, early design, which started this summer, and that will continue. Design, permitting, and procurement will continue through the end of 27, with construction anticipated 2028 through 2029 for phase 2. And high-level feasibility level cost estimates at this point for phase one, the midpoint of about 16.6 million. That is a feasibility level, so that represents a pre-30% design estimate. And then our phase two, very high-level strategic ballpark is looking upwards of 150 million, obviously going to be reviewed and potentially refined. And we will be pursuing Penvest or other funding for that phase two. We're not able to use Penvest for phase one because it's considered maintenance, but we will be pursuing Penvest for phase two. Moving on to an update on our lead service line replacement program. A total of 13,638 public and 10,332 private side lead service lines have been replaced through yesterday. We currently have 10 active construction contracts involving lead service line replacements in one way or another. These are a combination of small diameter water main replacement, neighborhood, and urgent contracts. And under these contracts, we're actively working in approximately 17 neighborhoods throughout the city. And these include, but are not limited to Mount Washington, Middle Hill, Brighton Heights, Perry North and South, West Oakland, East Liberty, and Hazelwood. Work occurring in these neighborhoods includes the verification to identify service line material, the actual lead service line replacements, and restoration of paving and landscaping. Lastly, the following construction projects are currently out for bid. 2024 large diameter sewer with bids due October 27th. The water treatment plant 84-inch diameter line rehabilitation project, general/mechanical and separate electrical contracts. Bids are due October 29th. 2026 small diameter sewer rehab IDIQ contract, bids due November 10th. 2025 valve replacement, bids are due November 13th. And lastly, the replacement of our clarifier meter at our water treatment plant, and bids for that are due November 18th. This concludes my report. I will turn it over for any questions.
Questions or comments for Rachel?
I have one question and one comment. Thank you for explaining the basins. I too have driven by them for a long time and didn't really understand where they fit in. So thank you. What's the final place where the concentrated sediment is disposed of?
So that's a great question. We have tested that sediment to see its makeup, and because it has some exceedances of some chemicals, including arsenic, iron, and manganese, it is not categorized as clean fill and therefore has to be treated as residual waste. And there are a couple options for where we can take it. Landfill basically being one. Westmoreland landfill is one place that we've looked into. There's also an operation called Soils Inc., I believe, that can take residual waste and reuse it in a more sustainable way. So if we can avoid using the landfill, that is something that we're considering.
Thank you.
On your, I think one of your earlier slides, you talked about the cleaning in 1990.
Mhm.
There's a story behind that.
I'm sure.
There's a story behind that. Following the success of Waterworks Mall, the developers and some members of council pushed, not you, Erica, pushed to have a hardcover put on those basins so that they could continue to develop additional property for Waterworks Mall, to put additional stores on top of the said basins. I was the director of the water department at the time. Of course, I opposed it, but
Thank you.
you know, those one of the strongest reasons was that we couldn't clean them. I think we had a hard cover on them, and I know you're thinking about that in the future, but obviously some other things will be changing along that way. But I said we couldn't clean them, and they said, "Well, when was the last time you cleaned them?" And I said, "It's coming soon." In
Any day now.
1990, we had our contract and we cleaned the basins to demonstrate that, you know, the type of equipment that was necessary to clean the basins prohibited a hard cover, you know, so now we're talking obviously many years after that, but yeah, there's a story to that.
Interesting. Thank you for shutting that down.
Yeah, I'm going to be
And the only thing we'll be putting on top of this basin, hopefully is potentially solar panels with of course access for.
Thank you
future
for the
use.
slides. We always enjoy them. I think it adds so much to the board's understanding of the complexity of these projects, and it's mind-boggling how much waste is will be shipped. So you'll need, you'll have to have a very robust plan to get that done. So,
Going to be interesting for sure.
yeah, good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Mike?
So it just occurred to me, kind of engineering thing. The current design's a flat bottom and the cells will likewise have flat bottom.
So the current design is, I think, oh, sorry. Can
What I'm
I?
getting at is there's.
We do have a cross section. I don't think they're quite flat. I
just
think
give
they've
us
got a
an
little bit of
inclination,
curve to them.
Sort of.
Yeah, I think
Localization.
I think the basins will probably be some incline plates to maximize surface area.
Okay.
For sure.
Thanks.
Uh-huh.
Very good. Thanks, Rachel.
Okay.
All right, we move to the Chief Operations and Environmental Compliance Officer report, Mr. Sederi.
All right, good morning, everyone. Microphones are interesting with the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very nice. All right, so for today, I wanted to talk a little bit about our mission and a couple of core values. Key component actually of our environmental compliance and ethics program is Pittsburgh's Water's mission, which is to support our region by protecting public health and the environment through the delivery of safe and reliable water services with a commitment to future generations. We have 5 core values. I think I'm going in and out here. We have 5 core values that support this mission, including stewardship, ethics and integrity, accountability, safety, and equity. Today, I wanted to focus on the safety and stewardship core values. One way that we do support that mission and the core value of safety is through observations or assessments that we make of our construction and maintenance work that is going on every day in our system. One program we've implemented is actually in its 2nd year now, conducting safety and compliance reviews of our construction projects. Since January of this year, we've completed 355 safety compliance reports for over 40 different contracts. These safety and compliance observations include a standardized review of general health and safety hazards, excavation safety, electrical safety, traffic control and heavy equipment operation, fall protection hazards, scaffolding, stairways and ladders, hand and power tools, fire protection, confined space entry, chemical and waste management, and our erosion and sediment control and water discharges from these projects. Where deficiencies are identified through these processes, we work with the contractors to make corrections to improve site safety and compliance. And we have an automated process that's followed to assure that safety and the safety and compliance report is reviewed by our construction management, project manager, the contractor, as well as our safety department. For our internal field operations, we utilize a process that we call a field job observation. These observations previously were completed using paper-based forms, and we're currently getting ready to convert them over to electronic forms as part of our implementation of our asset management and work order platform known as CityWorks. These field job observations will be completed by managers, periodically observing the work that their field crews are performing out in the field. The field job observations will be attached electronically to the work order, and similar to that safety and compliance report provides a standardized review of health and safety factors on that job site. Findings from our field job observations are then reviewed by our safety department as well as operations leadership. And we're going to use our Safe People, Safe Water system that we can identify any near miss and make sure that we understand the root cause of those near misses, implement corrective actions, and more importantly, make sure that we're sharing that learning across Pittsburgh Water to make changes there. These 2 processes help us ensure a safe working environment for our employees and our contractors, the safety of our infrastructure assets, as well as the safety of the 1 million gallons of water that we deliver to customers every day. Secondly, our mission is also supported by the core value of stewardship. Stewardship states that as a public utility, we're responsible for serving as mindful stewards of our water system and continuing to provide essential and dependable water services now and for generations to come. An example of stewardship is our commitment to water quality through our corrosion control and lead service line removal efforts. With continual support here from the board, as well as the vision of our CEO and hard work by every department here at Pittsburgh Water, we've been nationally recognized as leaders in our lead programs. This work has included implementation of a corrosion control treatment program for all water entering our distribution system and the identification and replacement of public and private lead service lines. The success of this program is measured through the periodic testing of water to monitor for lead levels. The latest round of compliance sampling is still being finalized. It took place from June 1st to September 30th of this year. And the 90th percentile that we anticipate will be no greater than 2 parts per billion. We're not sure if it's going to be 1.99 or 2.0 quite yet. However, this value is extraordinary and will be the lowest lead level ever detected in our water system, 7.5 times lower than the regulatory level of 15 for lead in drinking water. This historical low level is an achievement that we all can be proud of. However, we also recognize that our work is not done. Heard Rachel talk about all of the lead service line removal programs that we continue to implement and the corrosion control water treatment that our operators at the plant continue to operate and maintain in the system. All of this is as we continue to strive to get the lead out, to provide that safe and reliable water service now and for future generations to come. Finally, here today to conclude my report on drinking water quality, I did just want to recap some of the results in September. Our laboratory conducted 2,329 water quality analysis of our drinking water and confirmed that we continue to meet and exceed all water criteria for our customers, while producing on average of 62 million gallons of water per day last month in September. Concludes my report. As I always end, if you have a compliance or an ethics concern, the board, our staff, as well as our consultants and contractors can always reach out to me. Thank you.
Questions or comments for Mr. Saderi?
I appreciate that you regularly remind us of those core values and the hard work to meet them. Thanks, Frank.
Good. Mike, you have a question? Comment?
I appreciated the section on AI, and nobody knows how to deal with this stuff, but here's just a thought. The engines have the first law embedded to various extents, first law of robotics, which is do no harm, but that could be circumvented depending on the engine, on how you do the query. So the risks are what gets asked, and somebody knows what you're thinking about. You may or may not like it. And then the other risk is how can you be undermined internally through queries? So you might want to just play around with the engine and test it with some sensitive questions and see what you get back, just to kind of get a feel for what you're working with.
Appreciate it. If I can, for background on that particular question, the water quality report that we offered to the board each month did have a special section in it, as we do each month. This month was in regards to some of the efforts we're taking, utilizing some AI to help us with our water quality projections and optimization of treatment at the plant. And so that was some of the information. We have a model set up that helps us try to optimize water quality and water treatment by adjusting our chemical levels.
As you know, we had a health and safety report for the executive committee yesterday, so it was a very impressive report. I mean, it's amazing to see the evolution of that work. We credit you and Casey and all of the staff that work diligently on that. It's incredible to see the progress that we're, at industry standards or below for health and safety. And the report on lead, we clearly are a leader. I mean, there was a time that people were pointing at where we stood in terms of the numbers, in terms of lead lines, and this board and staff and the leadership made a commitment to removing lead lines, and now we're at an incredibly low level. All of the work that's gone into that, I'm so proud of that. So thank you and your team, Frank. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Will, Chief Executive Officer report.
Well, good morning, Chair Shuley, members of the board. Fantastic to have a full complement here this morning. Again, want to echo Alex's gratitude for Jordan and Megan joining us on the board, agreeing to serve. All of the accomplishments we've called out today are a product of our board's engagement. I make a point at least a few times a year to remind the public these are volunteers spending hours of their time to help us get better. And I know Megan and Jordan, with your background, you will continue to challenge us as our current board to continue to be the best that we possibly can for our customers and continue to strive for excellence. The achievements we've made on lead undoubtedly is in response to amazing oversight and strategic guidance from our board. Even when there were opportunities for us to pull back and maybe operate in an industry standard mode, we have been challenged, as Frank alluded to get the lead out, get the job done. The 2 part per billion or 1.99 part per billion achievement I really have to pinch myself to come to terms with where that is. And most of you may know, but the reason that is so important is we still have about 2 years left in our lead service line replacement program. We recognize there are still thousands of lead service lines still serving our customers, which is why we need that optimized corrosion control treatment for those homes and properties. And the evidence is pretty strong that we're doing everything we can there to buy us that time before we get all the lead out. So significant achievement, a collective project obviously going on for some time, and really pleased that we're in the back end of that work. And really excited to be able to share that with the public more dramatically when we arrive on whatever that number may be here in a few days. Thank you, Mike, for congratulating the finance team on the progress on the rate case. More will be discussed here in the coming months, but just do want to thank our entire team at Pittsburgh Water, spanning our finance, engineering, construction, our technology services, customer service. This has really, as every rate case, it's an all hands on deck initiative. I believe the number that we have now, but it's a ticker that continues to raise over 700 questions raised by the commission and intervening parties in the context of that rate case. So these are all people, there's no one dedicated. We don't have a rate team. These are people who have other jobs to maintain all of the financial and operational performance you've heard from today. But during these rate cases, they are really responsive to that process in order for us to get to the best result for the organization. So I'm extremely grateful for that. And then finally, just want to call attention to a really exciting groundbreaking in Riverview Park. Hopefully you caught that we are going to be beginning here soon a green stormwater infrastructure project there. I'm looking at Peg because Peg and I have been talking about this with some of her friends in Northside for many years. These green stormwater infrastructure projects are quite challenging to navigate through the regulatory process. We're very lucky to have contributions from Alcosan through their GROW program for this about $4.25 million investment in the park, working with Friends of Riverview Park to get this project done, which is a combination of beautification efforts funded by the state through DCED, as well as, our piece of it is reducing flooding and some of the water quality issues presented in Riverview Park. So the stormwater projects are still moving forward. Encourage you to check out the website to learn a little bit more about what may be going on in that beautiful community asset in Northside. But with that, I conclude my remarks. Happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Good. Questions or comments for Will? All right. Okay, we'll move to resolutions. We have relatively short package today for resolutions. We start with Resolution 90 of 2025. Mr. Barca.
Resolution number 90 of 2025, authorizing the issuance of new senior or subordinate lien revenue bonds in an amount not to exceed $170 million and amending existing or entering into new indentures or other financing agreements.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? We have a short agenda. What are the cliff notes on this particular resolution?
Just a small amount of money, right? Our current capital line of credit, which has a capacity limit of 150 million, is used to interim fund our capital expenses throughout the year. And then as that line of credit nears capacity, we issue a bond to refund it back to zero. So currently that line sits at about 120 million, and we anticipate reaching that capacity limit by the end of the year. So we'll issue bonds in January, February, market dependent, to refund that back to zero. And then the additional 20 million is going to be put aside for a traditional project fund. We want to, over the next 3 to 4 years, wean ourselves off of this line of credit, just given interest rates. And as we do that, we're going to continue to issue these smaller project funds, and they're going to grow over time to help wean us off the line of credit. So combined, you have the 150 and then the 20, get you to the 170.
Okay, very good. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of resolution number 90, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, resolution number 90 is approved. Resolution number 91, Ed.
Resolution 91 of 2025, authorizing 2 separate requests of up to $1 million each for grant funding from a local share account program of the Commonwealth Financing Authority.
All right, thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second,
Any discussion?
Ed, what would these grants fund?
So there's two separate projects. The first is solar panels either at the filter building at the water treatment plant or another facility at the treatment plant site. And then the second is for the raw water intakes at the treatment plant as well.
Any other questions, comments? All those in favor of resolution number 91, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution number 91 is approved. We move to resolution number 92. We'll get Rachel back up there.
Resolution number 92, approving the award of a capital contract for construction of the water treatment plant filter building roof project to Miller Thomas Geikus, Inc. Capital budget $3,894,268. And as mentioned in Ed's resolution and discussed in executive session, we are exploring the potential option for solar panels on this roof.
Very good. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Section. Is any discussion? When was the roof? What was the age of the roof, right? The current roof?
It's a good question. I actually do not know, but I'll find out.
I know. I think so. I mean, I'm thinking it's still part of the original structure, right? Or maybe, I don't remember.
It's 1960.
All right.
Could be.
Okay.
I'll check,
Any other questions or comments?
which means I'll ask Frank. Sorry.
I think it's terrific to be moving towards solar when possible in these projects.
All those in favor of resolution number 92, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution number 92 is approved. We move to the final resolution, resolution number 93.
Resolution 93, approving a change order professional services agreement for design for new headquarters and operations facility project to AE7 LLC. Capital budget $155,102. AE7 is supporting us with both our new River Avenue facility as well as the 3011 Smallman location. And this change order is primarily changes in scope related to splitting those two facilities. Originally, we were going to try to have everyone in one place, and then we explored different options. So that's primarily related is what's driving this change order, as well as some support for temporary relocation of our operations folks to River Avenue during the construction of the ABC project.
Okay, thank you for the explanation. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second,
Any more discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 93, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, resolution number 93 is approved. Is there any other business to come before the board this morning? Well, I know we're coming up on Halloween, so happy Halloween to all you ghosts and goblins out there. Hopefully it'll be a safe holiday for children and grandchildren, and have a motion to adjourn. All right,
Second.
thank you. Meeting is adjourned.